Have you heard the story about the A.1 sauce bottles that kept showing up at a library in Ohio? This popular condiment isn't just known for slathering on your favorite meats. Keep watching for some vital information about this iconic steak sauce. A1 sauce was invented by Henderson William Brand, who was a personal chef for Britain's King George IV from 1824 to 1831. As the story goes, George tasted the sauce and voiced his approval by pronouncing it A1. Brand was born in Durham, a city in northeast England, the son of Thomas Brand, an innkeeper and brewer. Nobody knows for sure if a young Henderson worked in his father's kitchen, but it seems likely because at the tender age of 12, he was working as an undercook in the kitchen of the future king. George was known as a gastronome with a taste for haute cuisine. He ascended to the throne in 1820, and shortly afterwards, Brand became yeoman of the mouth, a position akin to that of a sous chef. Brand would later publish an updated version of Simpson's Cookery, a popular cookbook at the time. And in 1835, he set up a shop in London. His first two products were Essence of Chicken and Essence of Beef. After declaring bankruptcy, rebranding, and trading as H.W. Brand, he was appointed the cook and manager of cuisine at the 1862 International Exhibition in London. That was where he debuted Brand's International Sauce, where it was ranked A1. Considering that it's existed in some form or another since 1862, A1 has a rather unsurprising list of ingredients with a few exceptions. Notable among them is raisin paste, H.W. Brand's stroke of genius that has been used in other sauces and prepared foods ever since. The antioxidants in raisins helped slow the decay of beef in the days before refrigeration, and they also helped mask the taste of decaying beef. Apparently, even kings couldn't avoid eating some funky steak in the 19th century. Distilled vinegar also has a utility beyond taste, as it's the world's oldest meat tenderizer. In its earliest inception, A1 sauce used the more expensive malt vinegar. Older versions of the sauce also utilized orange marmalade instead of orange puree. The spices and herbs are a trade secret, though. It's safe to say that back in H.W. Brand's day, there was no corn syrup, caramel color, or xanthan gum. In 2014, Kraft Foods Group dropped steak from the sauce brand's name. So why exactly was A1 steak sauce no longer just for steak? Among animal proteins consumed at home, beef has been on the decline, while chicken is on the rise. As of 2014, 65% of A1 sauce was slathered on steak and not on another protein source. Clearly, a change was needed if A1 was going to buck beef's declining popularity. So an ad campaign promoted A1 as a sauce that can go with almost everything, which was a way of helping to solidify the brand's long-term survival in a world of changing consumer habits. But you might be surprised to learn that the name change was actually a shift back to A1's original branding. It actually wasn't until the 1960s that it added steak to its name in a pivotal shift to beef. Originally, it was first marketed as a high-quality, all-purpose, saucy sauce, different from any other, appreciated on Welsh rare bits, broiled lobster, and English mutton chops. Even though A1 sauce has a thoroughly British origin story, it isn't widely available in the United Kingdom. Instead, it's only manufactured there for export. It was previously available in the UK as A1 without the periods, but it was eventually phased out of British supermarkets in the 1970s. Although A1 is perhaps the only American version of a thick brown steak sauce, the brown sauce market in the UK is quite competitive. Options across the pond include the likes of HP and Daddy's. The former accounts for 71% of the UK's brown sauce market. A1 simply couldn't keep up with the competition. However, you can sometimes find imported American A1 sauce at larger supermarkets in Britain. And if you're wondering if brown sauce and steak sauce are the same thing, nobody has a definitive answer. But brown sauce is generally popular with breakfast, whereas not very many folks are slathering steak sauce on toast. In 2017, in the town of Avon Lake, Ohio, an unidentified person with a mysterious motive kept leaving empty bottles of A1 stashed in different areas of the public library. Employees found the first bottle in the newspaper section, and after that, up to 40 more appeared hidden behind books and plants. All were clean, empty, and had the labels removed. The library's surveillance video was unable to reveal the identity of this mystery bottle lever. Employees theorized that the bottles had been used to smuggle in alcohol, but that hypothesis didn't hold up to a smell test. The bottles only smelled of tangy A1 sauce and not of booze. Staff members also ruled out a teenage culprit as the bottles appeared to be left early in the day. While this story might not sound exciting enough for an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, the case of the mysterious A1 bottles at the Avon Lake Public Library remains open. Home fragrances usually fall into the floral or herbal family, but in 2018, A1 Sauce decided to usher in a brave new world in fragrances by introducing a line of meat-scented candles for Father's Day. According to A1's promotion, now you don't have to do the whole cooking thing to get the hearty smell. The candles came in 3 meaty flavors, or rather scents: original meat, backyard barbecue, and classic hamburger. As gimmicky as they were, the candles proved to be pretty popular, as they sold out in 1 week.
My favorite smell in the world is wood fire, and this
Yes.
feels very close to that.
I want these candles nowhere near my house.
As weird as it sounds, A1 isn't the only food brand to venture into the candle-making business. KFC launched a limited edition gravy-scented candle in 2019, as well as a very limited edition run of SPF 30 sunscreen that smelled like fried chicken in 2016. In 2014, White Castle released an original slider-scented candle to support Autism Speaks, and in February 2020, McDonald's debuted its burger-scented candle. Taco Bell seemed to toy with the idea with a Facebook post back in 2011, but nothing came of it. Having been around for more than a century, the A1 name clearly has a degree of staying power, and some competitors have attempted to ride the coattails of its success. But one sauce seller took it a little further than the law allowed. In the early 1990s, a Connecticut deli owner named Arnold K. was selling his own unique condiment at his store and local retailers. He called it A2. Needless to say, this didn't go over well with the people at Nabisco, which owned A1 at the time. In 1991, the company filed a trademark lawsuit against K, who admitted that A2 was used to piggyback off A1's brand recognition, though he also argued it was intended to be a pun. And since the sauces tasted different, he contended that customers wouldn't believe the two sauces were part of the same product line. The court wasn't buying it, though, as they ruled in favor of Nabisco.
I don't buy it.
K was prohibited from using the A2 name, and he was also ordered to recall all bottles that were on shelves at the time and have them destroyed. If you happen to find yourself north of the border with a hankering for A1, you're in luck. Well, kind of. Kraft does sell the sauce in Canada, but it doesn't taste anything like the A1 that you're used to in the USA. These two different versions are concocted from distinctly different recipes. They're both made from a tomato puree base and contain orange and raisin flavorings, vinegar, and salt. But the Canadian version is heavy on the sweet stuff, as it's made with sugar, caramel, and molasses. The American version, meanwhile, derives its flavor in part from dried onion and garlic. American A1 sauce also uses caramel coloring, so it has the same look but none of the sweetness. Furthermore, the Canadian sauce has a much thicker consistency, while American A1 is a bit runny. Finally, there's the bottle and label, as the Canadian version doesn't include the periods in the name and comes in a squeeze bottle, while the American edition has a twist cap bottle.
Oh, Canada.
It's no secret that A1 sauce makes for an excellent and spicy addition to any meatloaf recipe. So in 2009, some clever ad wizards had a brilliant idea when they recruited the musician known as Meatloaf to appear in an A1 commercial. In the ad, the singer whips up a batch of his namesake dish and drizzles on some A1 sauce before digging in. He enjoys his first bite so much that he then begins belting out his famous tune, "I'd Do Anything for Love." Mr. Loaf does make one important tweak to the lyrics. Instead of singing the refrain the usual way, as "but I won't do that," he instead croons, "and I always do this," as he pours A1 from a giant-sized bottle onto his food. It turns out that A1 partnered with Meatloaf at just the right time in his life, as he was previously a vegetarian from 1981 to 1992. And then in 2019, he announced that he was going to try veganism in the coming year. A1 sauce has been around for a really long time, so it's safe to say that people enjoy the taste of the original recipe. But that doesn't mean that the makers of this popular condiment are resting on their laurels. In fact, Kraft continues concocting new varieties. That includes the likes of A1 sweet chili garlic sauce, which contains mildly spicy cayenne pepper, red bell pepper, and traces of garlic. Kraft recommends using this with chicken nuggets or buffalo wings. There's also A1 Bold and Spicy, which is made with Tabasco sauce, and A1 Sweet Hickory, which includes bullseye barbecue sauce in its recipe. For those looking for a peppery tang, A1 also offers a smoky black pepper variety, while the Spicy Chipotle offers a decidedly Mexican flavor profile. But that's not all. A1 has also expanded its product line to include marinades, perhaps because they realized that the original sauce was already commonly used that way. There are a wide variety of marinade flavors available, including classic, New York Steakhouse, Chicago Steakhouse, Texas Mesquite, and even New Orleans Cajun.
Cajun man, let's get right to it.
When A1 took the steak off its name in 2014, it simultaneously unveiled a new tagline: for almost everything. Almost. We're pretty sure that by everything, they meant every food. But some people have taken a few creative liberties with this motto, as they've utilized A1 sauce for a variety of household tasks. According to foodreference.com, one of the most common uses for A1 sauce outside of the kitchen is polishing metal. That's because it contains both vinegar and tomato paste, which are both acidic, and acid can help dissolve tarnish off of metals. Therefore, vinegar and tomatoes are often used to polish copper, brass, and silver. But there's more, as A1 sauce can also be used to repair scratches on wood furniture and shine shoes. The latter use has also been promoted by some Reddit users. But the most unique A1 claim is probably that it can be used to relieve bug bites. How this idea came to be and whether or not it's accurate isn't entirely clear, but it likely stems again from the presence of vinegar, which is known to cool skin and reduce burning and stinging. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.